This is TWiT.
Well, we have the public betas. They have arrived. Woohoo! And even though I cautioned myself against it, I couldn't help it. I installed it on both my Macs. I did not do it on my iPhone, actually, but I did do it on both my iPads.
I'm waiting on the phone. Like, I use the phone too much, and I don't have a backup phone anymore because I gave it to my son. And so I'm kind of I'm not ready for things to freeze. I think I'm gonna.
It's not going to freeze. It's just going to kill your battery. That's what it's going to do.
Okay. I'm not
So
sure.
it's actually going to the opposite of freeze. It's going to burn you.
Yeah. It runs. Yeah. It runs hot and it kills the battery.
Yeah. So I'm working on the
Andy runs
iPad
hot too. We now know. But he doesn't have a battery. I was, at first, this ugly new thing, it really pissed me off. I wasn't pleased, but I've gotten used to it now, and it's okay. I'm talking about the iPad. I do like the windowing. That actually turned out to be more useful than I thought. I now keep a few little windows open, which is great.
I find it very disorienting on the iPad. Like I'm getting used to it, but it's just like this feels like it does feel like a Mac. It feels like suddenly I've got like just apps open.
It's almost there. I just have to turn off every other windowing aid that they've added because it's still very confusing that if you're giving me a windowing experience that feels like a Mac, I want to say, add another window. Absolutely. So add another window. No, I've got a full screen and I've got a new workspace. Like, no, that's not what I wanted. I wanted these two windows side by side. But yeah, it is kind of freaky to wind up being like, have the one of the things I missed about slide over, like the original version of iPad multitasking, is that the thing is that on an iPad with a smaller screen, it's not necessarily about overlapping windows so much as the two things I want front and center I want to be able to work on. So I like the idea that you'd always have two things side by side and they're tiled, so I don't have to worry about like arranging things. I like the fact that they've brought the Mac tiling up into the iPad, so I can simply say, I want this in the upper left quadrant, I want this in the lower left quadrant, I want this to be entirely in the left side of the screen.
So you tile them. See, I've been using overlapping.
I do, not always, but it's like I've always been a big fan of tiling. If you have a big enough screen, I want a window manager that will let me never have to like click something to uncover something else. I think that's very, very possible. And on the iPad, whereas on my Mac, I might have like 10 windows, 20 windows open at the same time. On the iPad, it tends to be I'm focused on one task, but I have a PDF that I want to read to get notes from the side.
Tiling makes sense. And it's also not that big a screen. If I tiled on my giant monitor, I'd have to be looking like up and to the left and down and to the right. It wouldn't be great. I have to say, though, because Alt-Tab works very nicely on the iPad, I'm really using the iPad kind of like my Mac now.
Yeah, and it's got to become more important because I'm still using this iPad as like an iPad with a keyboard and a trackpad. The ability to put like several external displays on an iPad, this is going to be much, much more important to have workspace management like absolutely on lock. I'm certainly going to give it a try, but it's going to be freaky as hell. The idea of having iPad apps that are a true desktop multi-screen environment for me. It's going to take some time getting used to, but I'm really this is the reason why, like, this is the first I didn't put any of the betas on my MacBook, but I was definitely going to be putting the first public beta on my iPad because of these features, because they're going to be so useful for my workflows, and because I don't want to still be annoyed by the differences in September. And this way to do that is to get in on them about a month early.
Jason, you and Dan Morin over at Six Colors seem less than happy with Liquid Glass, and you also quote Harry McCracken, who's concerned that it's steering the iPad in the wrong direction.
Yeah, I don't agree with Harry, but I get his. He thinks that especially the simplicity of split view and slide over is something that he's used all the time. Harry uses the iPad as his primary computer, basically. I mean, we all know Harry, he's really smart, and I think it's worth listening to somebody so committed to the iPad talk about what he thinks that this has lost. He feels like it was more of a unique experience, and now it's just kind of like Mac Lite. And I totally see that. I don't think I agree, but I totally see it. I will say there is split view. You can do split view. It's not like it was, but you can tile, as Andy said. If you tile left and right, it actually puts the little gap down the middle with the little sliders so that you can choose the split view. It's basically split view in there. Slide over, though, I have heard from a bunch of people who loved slide over, and the reason slide over is not a part of
tell
this.
us what slide over is.
Slide over is a thing that's really easy to get to by accident, which is a problem. But you basically put an app off the side of the screen, and then you swipe from the right edge, and this little narrow version of an app comes in briefly, and you can do something on it, and then you swipe it away, and it disappears.
That's one thing I noticed. It's a little weird. I had never used that, and all of a sudden, a lot of my apps are in that little wedge on the right of the screen.
Yeah, so
that's something that it's kind of more present now because of these smaller windows.
Right. So slide over was like the easy little basic multitasking that you could do. And I think a lot of people, and I'm not one of them, but a lot of people really said, oh, I like this idea if I can just take an app and have it available on demand off the side. And if I were Apple and I were listening to feedback, I would be processing that and saying, oh, we always viewed, because I think they did, always viewed slide over as a compromise to do something like multitasking on the iPad way back when. And that now that they've got this, they don't need it anymore. And
but
I
it's
think
still
actually,
there, isn't it?
It's not. Slide over.
Oh.
You can just stick a window off to the side. You can do that. But like this idea of a utility drawer with an app in it, like I think based on what I'm hearing, there is sort of a use case for this, and it would be great if the people working on this multitasking feature thought, okay, what's behind that? Again, the goal is not to say, oh, give them back slide over. The goal is what motivates people to say, I really miss slide over. I think listening to people like Harry talk about what's been lost, when I think that by all accounts, this new multitasking feature is amazing. It really is very, very good. The fact that some people are still kind of like sad for what they lost, like I think they killed slide over because it was way too easy for regular users to put an app into slide over and then not understand where the app went and why it was there and how to get rid of it. And that's a serious usability concern too. Yeah,
I thought we still had slide over because I still see stuff over. It's over in the right on the gutter. There's a little window corner. That's not. I thought that was. Isn't that slide over?
That is, but it's gone in.
No, it's not. I still have it.
No, you.
In fact,
I think you have a window that
themselves there.
When you're expose, it's off there and off the edge of the screen, and you tap to bring it back. But I think that's not the same thing.
Okay.
So I mean, I think there are some valid points there because Apple did throw the baby out with the bathwater. It's possible. This new thing is great, but like I'm open to the idea that of what Harry is saying suggests that there are some unexplored aspects of iOS or iPadOS productivity that maybe this version, as good as it is, has kind of left by the wayside. I think it's worth listening to those people who are noting those things.
A good example of using slide over, Alex Howard, our club member, says he's used it for his password manager for years. So having it always kind of there when you need it is.
Yeah, my guess is that they've heard this feedback and that the challenge is they've got this expose view where you swipe up from the bottom. I wonder if they will create a tile format or something in expose or something that kind of replicates the quick flip it out. Like I really like picture in picture is a great example. You can put picture in picture off the screen, right? And it just like pokes out and says, I'm here still playing, but you can't see me. You could do that with a window, right? You could have the concept of docking a window to the side and having it just kind of like, it's still there and there's a little arrow. And when you tap, it kind of slides out. You could do that. So maybe they will go down that path.
Do a feedback, folks, if you're using the beta and say,
yeah, let them know.
Bring back
let them know. Because I think they just didn't understand that people used this feature. They thought it was a compromise and it's actually a productivity feature.
Yeah. But when you think about it, I think it's a bigger challenge. Window management and task management on the iPad is a bigger challenge than Apple has on any other platform because again, at the maximum, you're dealing with a device that can have multiple external displays at once, and at the minimum, it's not just the iPad Mini. Now it's going to be the iPhone Fold, which rumor this week is that it's like actually going to be much, much smaller than you expect it to be. So that's with the smaller the screen, the more you need things like slide over, the more you need things like side-by-side split view and stuff like that. So my hat's off. It's a big challenge to set up for themselves. I'm surprised that they haven't forked the platform at all. Like they haven't decided to call certain iPads. Oh, now this is the iPhone Maximus.
They don't want to do that. Oh God, have two different user interfaces
or something like not necessarily, but basically say that we are going to put these tools on these platforms and these tools on these platforms. You will not necessarily, because we don't feel as though this slide over is relevant for a larger screen. However, we know it's essential on other things. Yeah. Again, it's a wonderful challenge, and it bespeaks the unity of Apple platforms.
You've been so busy, Jason, with your reviews. Also the Mac OS Tahoe public beta review.
Right.
How many thousands of words did you write about 26?
Dan Morin and I together dropped 15,000 words last Thursday. So it was a lot coming. Mac OS. I mean, the thing is, Mac OS Tahoe is great. It adds a bunch of features that especially power users, people who watch shows like this will, I think, really love. Spotlight stuff, automation in shortcuts.
I have to say, I said, oh, good, I can turn off Raycast and use Spotlight. I did it for about 3 seconds and went right back to Raycast. So real power users may not want to.
I turned off Launch Bar, which I've used for 15 years, and I still haven't gone back.
Oh, interesting.
Honestly. Okay. But I think there's something to be said. The whole idea, this goes back to like the idea of Sherlocking, right? Which is Apple should create good new features for the Mac. That should happen, even if there are utilities that used to fill the gap. Sure. There should be clipboard history in the Mac, right? It doesn't. When Apple implements it, they're implementing it for like the middle 80% or whatever. The use cases on the edges, Apple is not going to bother with, and that's where third-party utilities can live. And I've heard from a bunch of like super power user clipboard utility people who are like, I'm not going to do this, or launcher people who use Raycast, saying this isn't for me. And I think that's great. It turns out that I don't use Launch Bar like that. I was mostly using it for some very specific features, all of which have basically been replicated by.
You were just launching apps mostly, right?
Launching apps and doing some web queries, which I can do, and using it as my clipboard history. I use it as a calculator. Spotlight's calculator is a little less reliable, so I may just switch to using, pCalc instead for that stuff, instead of just doing it in Spotlight. And Emoji, which I'm using a utility called Rocket now to do that because Spotlight won't let you find an emoji and insert it, which was a thing that I used Launch Bar for. But in general, like macOS Tahoe has a bunch of great power user features. It's really nice. Depending on how you feel about Liquid Glass, I mean, I think clearly Liquid Glass has been revealed to be something that the focus has been on implementing it on iOS. And on the Mac, it feels kind of half implemented at best. And there are a bunch of things that they did that really frustrate me, more not from a usability standpoint, because I think people who are afraid of Liquid Glass design, and I had somebody say, boy, all these complaints about it, I guess I just won't update to Tahoe. And I'm like, no. It's fine. It's completely usable. It's a missed opportunity. What they've done is disappointing. There's a lot of stuff that feels amateurish or half finished.
Well, look at this music app, especially with Liquid Glass. I mean, this is from your review. That's unusable.
Yeah, to be fair, that is its worst case. If you scroll slightly up, then you can read it. But this is one of those examples where, and to be honest, the only places you really see the Liquid Glass really come into the fore are in cross-platform apps where they've decided to make it like music or photos. They got work to do. I mean, I'm withholding final judgments because the software isn't final. But what I can say is that I think you can be very productive with macOS Tahoe, and it adds a bunch of really nice stuff. And the Liquid Glass stuff, it's a work in progress, and they missed. You can tell the Liquid Glass stuff has been applied to the stuff that's cross-platform, but not to the stuff that's unique to the Mac, which is the tell that the Mac was never really a serious part of the thought process. Because like the toolbars, the stuff in the toolbars, don't get me started, but it's like it's not glass. It's just like a thing that floats on another thing with a drop shadow, and they're all gray, and it's just not. I don't even know, but again, it's usable. I just don't really. That part makes me sad because I feel like. I've been thinking about Aqua a lot lately because, a clear Aqua is basically Liquid Glass. And I think an implementation of something like that on the Mac, a modern version of Aqua that is not blue, but is just kind of like clear glass, it could look cool and interesting. But, depending on how you feel about Liquid Glass, maybe it's a blessing that the Mac looks pretty generic. And in most cases, you don't have a lot of Liquid Glass getting in the way.
Hey, I hope you've enjoyed this highlight from MacBreak Weekly. If you want to see the whole show, we're every Tuesday. You can watch us live right here on YouTube, or just click the link below and download an episode, or subscribe if you really like it. What is it the kids say? Oh yeah, like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.